Beautiful, isn't it? All life on earth has had and will have the unique opportunity to live and experience existence. Earth is a simple word to describe such a magnificent place. This planet has been here long before us and will remain long after we're gone. In the center of that time, as brief as a galactic blink of an eye, resides an immeasurable amount of human history. This film's focus is on mankind's decision to prolong and improve our history, as described by first-hand accounts from fellow members of an exclusive organization called the Freemasons, a global fraternity that provides a course of moral instruction veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. We stand for citizenship of the highest order, for enlightenment and orderly liberty, and for civil, religious, and intellectual freedom. What is Freemasonry?
It's a secret society of men.
Chapter 1. Welcome to Freemasonry. How far back does Freemasonry go? Operative Masons were the legendary workmen of Solomon, king of Israel. Modern dating places Solomon's era around 1000 BC. Today's speculative Masons use the manner, ethics, and accuracy of their work to shape and improve their mind and character. Along with the individual's application of morality and respect to himself and his labors came the larger social bond with like-minded men. Solomon's Masons were likely inspired by far older craftsmen, where a continuous story of legends transmitted by mouth to ear from other legends perpetuates itself throughout the ages. In between the span of time and these stories, we find evidence of architecture and documented knowledge laden with their way of thinking, accomplishments, and wonder. Working men, desirous of truth, looking to leave an imprint on humanity.
Freemasonry means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Different people get into it for different reasons. I was looking at it from a historical perspective. I was attracted to the history of Freemasonry, the roots dating back to King Solomon in ancient times, Jerusalem and Egypt. But as time evolved and I got more involved with it, it becomes something different. In my estimation, Freemasonry is a place where men of kindred minds and spirits come together to socialize, to communicate with one another, and to improve themselves in their character and in society. For others, it's got a much more deeper meaning. And if you take the teachings of Masonry and try to live by them and include them into your daily life, hopefully you become a better man. You become a better husband, a better father, a better citizen. It gives you a lot of moral character and guidance as you progress through the degrees, and as you study and research Masonry. It means a whole lot of different things.
Freemasonry, I can tell you, is one of the ancient and most honorable fraternities in the world. We believe in the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of men. It's a system that teaches you and practice values, moral virtues, and is projected to live in better society.
Freemasonry to me is friendship, brotherhood. Being able to call somebody up and talk to them about things that you might not be able to talk to your own family about. Being able to lean on somebody's shoulder. Guys getting together, being guys, having fun, But the biggest thing is friendship, and unfortunately, a lot of the guys that join, I don't think they understand that, and I don't know if they think that it's some big, huge secret that they're looking for, and it's not what they find. But if they came back, they'd see that, the secret is being able to talk to each other and have somebody to lean on when you need it.
To me, if you put your heart into Masonry, it's what it's all about. Some people join just to say they're a Mason and never come back. Some people get involved and do good in it. And there's even guys that do get involved that don't intend to do good with it. It's just like any organization. The problem with that is you got people involved. Back in its day, look at how many presidents were Masons, you know what I mean? George Washington, Harry Truman. The last sitting president was Gerald Ford.
Join with me in welcoming a statesman and a writer who served as the 26th President of the United States of America, Colonel Theodore Roosevelt.
When I got in 79, that the World War II era, the guys from World War II, they were very active, and you learned a lot from them. Then you had the guys from the Vietnam era and the Korean era that taught them how to bond and stuck with each other for a common goal. But what I see, whether it's Mason or any fraternity, I really don't see that anymore. It's a different era, different generation, and it's, what are they going to do for me? Back then, Masonry wasn't like that, You joined it because it was a very established and distinguished fraternity, and everybody, was, just said, hey, wow, he's a Mason, very distinguished people in there. And I remember years ago when I was a young guy in Masonry, there was no guy that would, T. Edgar Armstrong, he would take care of the widows. So every spring we'd go around, he'd say, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? 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 Because we used to meet on Friday. And he says, hey, meet me over here for breakfast. And then he'd say, hey, you and you, here, go over here and take care of, what you do is, back then, them widows, you would take the storm windows off and put the screens on. And then in the fall, you take the screens off and put the storm windows on. That's when their house needs exterior painting, you'd go over there, he'd get the paint, and we'd paint it.
Chapter 2. Outside Looking In. Most human suffering is manifested out of fear and ignorance. It's often exacerbated by the greedy and malicious that want to control and exploit people. They very often succeed. Freemasonry has had to defend itself from such maliciousness and has experienced the cruelty of the fearful. Powerful organizations, such as organized religions and governments, have used manipulation to turn people against Freemasons for their own gain. In 1314 A.D., the Pope had the Grand Master of the Knights Templar, Jacques de Molay, and his men burned at the stake. This murderous event was preceded by the Pope's jealousy of the Templars' popularity and abolishment of the order. Freemasonry encourages obeying one's laws under their residing government and embracing one's religious exploration. Freemasonry does not alter its principles or teachings for fear of distrust or betrayal from those who wish to exploit it. The Masonic fraternity aims to improve the lives of everyone by the betterment of an individual. A strong house is constructed by the combined strength of each brick.
It originally was a bond between the manufacturers or the builders of King Solomon's Temple and each other. And since then, it has come down through the ages and has been opposed a lot, particularly by Muslims and Catholics and Lutherans. It's because they came from the Catholic Church and kept some of their resistance to other organizations that were not connected with the church or had a religious contact that they didn't like because it didn't go through the church.
Masonry supports religion. It supports whatever faith that you have been raised in or that you believe in. It supports that faith. It does not look to take over and supersede it. It does not look to take over the world as everyone wants to think that we do. It's an ancient support system that's subsisted through time immemorial. But we all know that over the years and even today, you have your opponents to Masonry, you have your critics of Masonry, you have those that feel that we're nothing but Satan worshipers and demon worshipers, and we're not. And it's unfortunate. And some of them are so steadfast in that belief that there's nothing that you can say or do that's going to convince them otherwise. Live out the teachings that are inculcated in our rituals and in our beliefs and our philosophies, that all men are created equal and we should treat them equal to one another as we do ourselves.
We all have to realize that bad news travels like wildfire. And folks out there that don't know anything about Masonry, they have a habit of believing everything they read in the paper or in books. I go to the half-price bookstore to buy my Masonic books. First place you look is in the cult section. I don't know why it's there, because we are not a cult. We're very well open here. And if people would just understand that we're on the level and we're square with everybody and we're honest, we don't cheat anybody, we don't steal from anybody, I believe that Freemasonry will always have a place in this world.
The public, I won't say that they've got a bad opinion of Freemasonry, but maybe not a good opinion in general. You've got certain religions out there that are anti-Masonic. The Catholics, if you go back, and I'm Catholic, so I can say it, so therefore it's not bashing any religion. You had a pope that wanted to know the secrets of a Freemason, and they said, then you have to become a Freemason. Well, at that time, the pope knew everything, so he was entitled to know everything. And as soon as he was told no, that put it down there. Certain sects of the Lutherans are 100% anti-Mason. Look at our government. There was at one time an anti-Mason platform for running for presidency. Some of it's gone away. I think too much of the public reads something in a book or in a magazine, or they see it on TV, or it's word of mouth. They don't see it for what it really is. Everybody loves the Shriners because you see 22 hospitals out there doing wonderful things for kids. But they don't know that Shriners are Masons.
I think the public opinion now, I don't think the public even knows what Masonry is about.
Knows or does not know?
Doesn't know. Now it's kind of like, you're out there a little bit in the public eye, but you're really not. They know more about the elks and the moose and the eagles than they know about Masonry anymore. Because Masonry now really doesn't go out into the public and really try to sell itself as much. So I think majority, and I think younger people, like you or even younger than you, have no perception, don't even know what Masonry is. They really just don't. They think it's a bricklayer. Really? Hey, what about Freemasonry? What's that, a bricklayer, Mason? I mean, that's the sad part about it, but it is what it is.
If we take the things that we learn in this lodge room and we apply them to our lives outside this room, then that should be a betterment to humanity in general. And if more people were to see or go through the experience that we go through and take it to heart, then perhaps they would see that, Freemasonry is good and it's making a good man better. Not only that man, but hopefully his family, his neighbors, and society in general.
Well, what I would like it to be perceived is with dignity and honor and respect, and the understanding that we're not here to take over the world. We're not here to demonize and polarize people. We're here to make people better, make lives better.
I would like it to proceed with a great deal of respect, but I think now the public think we're a bunch of dumb nuts. They look at them like, ooh, yeesh, look at those stupid nuts. They don't realize what the apron is for. It's for purification and to keep yourself pure.
Chapter 3. Enter your heart. You are first prepared to be a Mason in your heart. This is a feeling deep within you that pushes your curiosity of the natural world and desire for goodwill. Freemasonry is a brotherhood of kindred spirits that gathers to improve upon the foundation of one's self. The fraternity symbol of the square and compass is a beacon to draw us together. By it, the members know where to continue their lifelong journey. By it, the uninitiated and curious are welcome to begin theirs.
We've got some very nice young people coming into this lodge that's seeking greater light than what's on the outside right now. The outside folks would take the time to learn a little bit more about it. They would be a little more hesitant to say something bad. I've experienced in the past where some folks have said bad things and they wound up petitioning the lodge and coming in and actually saying, well, I didn't know, I was wrong. So those are the kind of little things that we as Masons need to look for. And we need to do this as much as we possibly can. There again, that's where the youth is coming in, and we do have to pass this message along to them. If someone has got negative remarks, we could probably have a little chat with them and bring them in here and introduce them to the lodge.
You have to petition for the right reason. Don't sit there and think, hey, I saw this on the History Channel or the Science Channel, or I saw National Treasure, and the Freemasons know some huge secret about something, or they're running the world. Not happening. It's not true. Freemasonry is about joining someplace because you want to become friends with other people and build lifelong friendships. Join because it's something that you want to do, not something that you want to gain.
Once you enter the lodge room, you are all on the same level. There is no class distinction, recognition of status. Everybody has the same status once you enter the lodge room. And everybody has an equal voice in the lodge room, and they're valued. And if we could take that type of philosophy, that type of culture, teach tolerance, teach everyone how to interact and be humble and how to serve one another in a capacity that benefits everyone.
The first stone, let's go to say, that things can change for the better, to become a better world, better society. That's one of the main reasons that Freemasonry exists for all these years, that to have a better society.
Freemasonry will take you to places that you never dreamed possible. Once you're a Freemason, it is for life.
Chapter 4. Trust and Distrust. Part of human nature's instinctual defense is paranoia and distrust. Our survival depends on them. However, they must be balanced by logic and reason. Emotions can easily overrun common sense and lead to a negative outcome. People are fallible, but must be ever vigilant of themselves. Politics and religion are not discussed within a lodge. They are personal topics, and people have deep sentimental attachment to them. Masons do not gather to debate the life experience of others. However, members do debate and sometimes argue. Before entering a lodge, members agree to leave sensitive matters behind and act accordingly. Everyone in the lodge room is allowed to present their opinions. Order is conducted by the sitting master of that respective lodge. When matters are presented, members are given the opportunity to speak or remain silent. Every member is encouraged to speak and think freely. It is paramount to Masons that they treat each other with the highest respect. For may we ever meet on the level, act on the plumb, and part on the square.
Trust isn't given, trust is earned. And I think it's just a matter of you being a Mason, people learn that they can trust you as a person. If they trust you as a person, maybe later on they find out that you're a Mason and they realize, I've known this guy for years and I've trusted him. He's been honest with me the whole time. If that's what the other Masons are like, maybe it is a good organization, and stop watching these people that put all this propaganda out there that are against them. And it's hard. It could take years to build up trust with a group of people. It's not easy. There's so many people out there that are just conspiracy nuts, and they believe this happened, well, the Freemasons were behind it. That happened, the Freemasons were behind it. Oh, the Freemasons put this president in office, or they did this, they did that. Yeah, if we had that great power that everybody thinks, well, the world would be like a Freemason hall. Everybody'd be getting along. There'd be no arguing. So you can tell that we're not as powerful as people think we are.
How do you trust the Moose if you're not a member? Or the Fraternal Order of Eagles? Or the Lions? Or the Knights of Columbus? There was a thing called the Knights of Epiphanius. They're a spin-off of Masons. They have stations and everything, where jewels and all that. And, who knew anything about them? They were very secret. It's just not Masonry. It's all the other organizations that you have to pay dues and you have to go through an initiation thing.
Once you're a Mason, you're always a Mason. And no matter how strong or deep the bond goes, there still is that bond, because you've all experienced the same thing. You've all felt similar things, and you all share the same ideas and thoughts.
I'm proud to be a Freemason.
You can take that same organization, and if you get people in there that have ulterior motives, whether it be greed, illegitimate thoughts, they start to deteriorate the reputation of the organization, and it demeans the importance of what's going on.
It's like anything else. If you have one person do something bad, you've just put a tarnish on an entire fraternity from one person's actions.
Sometimes we become corrupt. Power a lot of times corrupts. And I think we see that in our politicians. Even though they may have good intentions, they become corrupt and they get sidetracked, and they go off in an opposite direction of what they should be. That degrades society. I want to believe my interactions and what people are telling me are truthful. I'll believe them as long as I find out differently, meaning that at some point in time it prove to me or demonstrate to me that what they're telling me is untrue. Been a few times where I've held, there's been a couple of people that I've held in very high esteem for a very long time. And there's been an incident that it came about that they deceived me. And they've broken a trust with me. And once that trust is broken, I don't care how much super glue you put on that piece of glass, you're always going to know that it's been broken. The crack's always going to show, and you're always going to look at it from a different perspective from that point forward.
Chapter 5. The Attentive Ear. There aren't many settings to allow insightful, interactive connections with people. Most experience social connections through their family, education, work, and pastimes. Freemasonry provides an alternative avenue for meeting new people and establishing friendships. Together, the collective minds share their lives' experiences and wisdom with the brethren. The time in between lodge business and ceremonies is spent talking and philosophizing. There are also moments of discussion and education within lodge assembled. It is in these moments where Masonic education on history, legends, and meanings are presented. What is the meaning of life? Why are we here? Is there a divine force interacting with our existence? What's for dinner?
I remember when I was young, I always thought, I know everything. I don't need to have this person tell me anything. But there's always some wisdom that everybody can always impart on somebody else.
Behave yourself.
We have to respect our older people. You know, you think about the people that are in their 80s. They've either been in World War II, Korea, Vietnam. They deserve some respect. They lived their life. A lot of them have had hard lives.
I went into Masonry after I served 2 years in the Army,
What year was that?
1953,
And how long you been in Masonry?
63 years. Keep an honest background. Don't get yourself into any problem which later on can conflict with things that you might want to do, which could include your employment and also organizations you want to join, and you would be turned down because of that occurrence in your background.
Your own individual light in Masonry never ends until the day you die. I think it's improved me and continues to improve me. It's just like anything else. Once you start that journey, it never ends. It continues. No matter whether you're at a spot such as myself that I'm retired from education, but yet I'm still involved with education. Maybe not at the same degree that I was, but I still am. And I believe that Masonry is the same thing, because you're always seeking to improve yourself, to find out those answers to questions that seemingly don't have answers. Your search for spirituality and where you are supposed to be in the universe at that point in time. And it doesn't end until your weary feet come to the end of their toilsome journey, and from your nerveless grasp drops the working tools of life. It's enriching. If I seem like I'm struggling for words, it's because I don't think there's any particular set of words that could truly describe what Masonry does for an individual.
Chapter 6. The Instructive Tongue. Freemasonry is a fraternity, and we greet each other as brother. Freemasons hold each other to a standard of conduct and seek to improve themselves throughout their lives. This endeavor starts with oneself. It is then refined by order of the worshipful master and assistance of the brethren. The progressive officer chairs are junior and senior stewards, junior and senior deacons, junior and senior wardens, and the worshipful master. 7 master masons are required to open a called lodge meeting for the purpose of Masonic education and the conferring of degrees, which are entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. Any member is allowed to sit in any officer's chair and participate in any degree conferral. This encourages learning the responsibilities of those positions. The performance of their duties are constantly sharpened to precision. From the newly installed officers to the venerable past masters, progress is made through suggestions, advice, and criticism. As in any craft or trade, proceed beyond your inexperience. Do not be discouraged. Even the wisest and most accomplished Freemasons once stood in your shoes. You can do anything with effort and determination, and the brethren will be there to help, aid, and assist.
You're always going to have your own ideas and thoughts and opinions, and you have a right to those. But you also have to acknowledge other people's opinions, whether they are in conflict with yours or not, because they have just as much right to those ideas and opinions as you do to your own. We don't live in a vacuum. But as long as we can do that peaceably and rationally and intelligently and civilized, you would hope and think that society would improve as well.
There's so much more in life than the petty bickering and useless arguments with everybody. Calm down. You never know if you're going to be here tomorrow. Try to agree with each other the best you can, and if you can't, agree to disagree. And leave it at that.
You really ticked them off, and you said some nasty things, and Now they want a piece of your hide, and that's not what life is about. I mean, as far as words of wisdom or knowledge that I impart, take life slow. We get so caught up in the hectic day-to-day things, and we get so involved with what we're doing in our careers and our job that we forget what is truly meaningful in life, and that's stopping and enjoying and relishing humanity, mankind. The fraternity teaches us tolerance. Masonry seems to be the most democratic organization in the world because when the members enter that room, you have people from all walks of life. But it's like anything else. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And we all know historically in Masonry, but in other organizations, in other institutions, the strength of the organization is reflected a lot of times in the membership itself. If you've got good quality people coming in and attending to and doing what they're supposed to be doing, then the organization is going to be extremely strong, respectful, and a benefit to society. And that's what's unique about Masonry, is because we have these people coming from all walks of life, and they come from all different experiences, and we can sit down and share those together. And at some point, there is a connection.
Chapter 7. The Faithful Breast. Freemasonry is a male-only or fraternal organization. Lodge members vary in all other aspects of life. The youngest admitted are 18 and oldest over 100. Men join as late as their 80s. Awards of gold are handed to the 50-year members. Some Masons have migrated from their home lodge of their mother country to a new lodge with new faces in the United States. While each state has a governing Grand Lodge, they do not provide assistance in a lodge's bills, chores, or ceremonies. A local city's Masonic lodge is maintained solely by its dues-paying members. They cut the grass, fix the roof, paint the walls, prepare the meals, and clean the kitchen. These men have lives, families, and responsibilities of their own. A Freemason brother's personal priorities always takes precedence over lodge duties. However, they still find time to contribute as liberally as they can without inconvenience to themselves to the upkeep and integrity of their home lodge. Sentimentality connects the Mason to his lodge. A lodge survives on the free time of its members and finances, consisting of dues, fundraisers, and donations. There is a sense of pride for the fraternity's outlook to improve mankind. There is a love of the craft, where the brothers spend countless hours practicing ceremonies and memorizing lectures. The symbiotic benefits of the Mason to his lodge and a Mason to another Mason is the reason that Freemasonry survives.
Being a good master is about developing communication skills with the other members, building friendships with them, being able to make a call and say, hey, I need you to do this for me. Can you do this? And that person saying, sure, what do you need? Having a good attendance at the corn roast because you communicated with them and they want to support you and the lodge. It's about so many other things other than strictly ritual. The ritual work isn't about perfection. It's about getting a point across, telling a story to the person that's on the other side of that altar. You do the best that you can. I had a past master tell me, being a good master isn't about knowing ritual work. It's not about getting ritual work perfect. Because nobody's perfect. You can get it as good as you can. It all goes back to friendships. And if you don't develop friendships, you can't be a good leader. That's all I can say. This fraternity is friendships. And, I go back to Benny. Benny's been friends with people since 1951. And he's known people, for, members for 50 and 60 years, had friendships that long. How many people can say that they've had friendships for that long? Yeah. I hope someday I can.
When you join the fraternity, you are gaining a bigger family because all the brothers are like your second family. So each brother becomes your relatives, your family, and the wisdom is in that, You got a bigger family, and anything happens in life, it becomes more easy to resolve when you are among brothers and friends.
My dad, doing my degree work when I was an apprentice, he sat in the East for all three of my degrees. He raised me when I became a Master Mason. One of his close cousins did the apron lecture and the Bible lecture for me in my degrees, and I think to me, that's my most memorable and historical Masonic moment. I do look at George Washington. Of course, I think everyone picks George Washington as being the prime leader of the Masonic movement here in the United States. But Masonically, historically, the day I was raised by my dad was the most memorable and historic for me.
This building could burn down tomorrow. The charter's there, I'm going to miss that because it's the original charter. This Bible's, we figure, at least 75 years old. Those are two things that are kind of irreplaceable. But everything else in this building, that's what insurance is for. Can all be replaced. The people, you can't replace them. You can replace the person that's sitting in the chair, but you can't replace the person that sat in this chair.
Chapter 8. Time. Craft or Blue Lodge Freemasonry consists of 3 degrees: Entered Apprentice, Fellow Craft, and Master Mason. Once you have been raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason, you have reached the highest rank of Freemasonry. A Master Mason, if he so desires, may join any Masonic appendant bodies such as York Rite, Scottish Rite, or Shriners, all of which use ranks and other consecutive degrees to mark progress in their additional Masonic education. However, a 3rd degree Master Mason is the highest rank, and no further advancement is necessary. The 3 degrees also represent the 3 stages of life: youth, manhood, and age. This is a subtle reminder that we are all traveling upon the level of time to that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns. Uncovering nature's laws and binding properties allows glimpses into events of the past and possibilities of the future. This method can be applied philosophically and forensically to all aspects of life. To master the timeline of your own life is the key to happiness.
The past is the past because that's already marked in history. I don't believe anything's happening in the future. Who knows what the future is? The future is we might die within an hour, both of us. I mean, who knows what society, what the future brings of any of us,
The future is based on the past. If you can't learn your mistakes that you've made in the past, you're going to continue making them in the future. Because you don't want people to make the same mistakes that you had made as a kid, or make their life a little easier. Don't let them go through the stuff that you had to go through. Knowing your future, nobody knows their future. You have plans for the future, you have hopes for the future. You hope it happens, you plan on it happening, but you or I could walk out this door right now and somebody runs a red light. There's your plans, there's your hopes for the future, all gone. So you can plan, you can hope, you can see your mistakes from the past to help shape your future, but nobody really knows what their future is.
And hopefully we could use the history of the past to change what the future might be. And by comprehending the past, You can only make a qualified, educated guess as to what the future would hold if you continue that same type of behavior.
I'm almost sure that one day these young men will be in line in this lodge also, and they'll carry it further into the future. The masters that we've had before, some of them have stuck around and helped these young people, and our future looks very bright.
Chapter 9. Light. Light allows us to see. It unveils the surface to the layers of existence. When you go beyond the surface, further light shines through to reveal what was hidden beneath. If light is what you most desire, Freemasonry will provide a pathway to it. Not every Mason walks the same path, but they do walk together.
Every time I come in this building, I learn something.
What have you yet to learn?
Everything.
You never finish learning, brothers. The life is eternity is school. You is no person that would say that I know everything. I know the answer for everything. Is you every day learn something different, something new.
There's just so much in life and in this fraternity to learn. You know, the second you think that you've learned it all, there's always more to learn. You're never going to know everything. And just take in as much as you can. I try to listen to everybody, take in advice. People give you advice, take what you want out of it. If you don't like it, throw it away.
Well, there's something to learn every day, my man. You're never too old to learn in Masonry. You learn different people, you learn about this. You might find out this guy knows this guy, or this is a family friend of somebody, and it's a life learning process every day.
How to be a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better citizen. I'm still working on that. It's a work in progress. And like I said before, you never stop learning, you never stop growing, you never stop improving until you die.
I think I've learned everything that they can teach me.
Is this the part where I talk real slow and you fade at the end? Do I do that now or later?
Just talk like a person, like a person with words.
Okay, my name is Matthew Markham. I am a Master Mason, just 2 years. Whiting Lodge 613. It is through the teachings and memorizing like we do. It makes you smarter and it makes you more confident. And subsequently, it makes you happier. A message to candidates coming in, it's really confusing and you're not supposed to know everything right off the bat. You're supposed to be fed to you a little bit at a time because there's a whole lot going on in a little bit. And the best thing that I was taught to do was to use my ears and to listen and to speak less and listen more, and hanging around a lot of the older guys, 60 and up, a lot of the past masters, I learned a lot from them because I listened. And so I would tell candidates to listen and to be receptive to everything that's being taught. A candidate is always prepared to be made a Mason in his heart. That is the most important thing. There's an old saying from past masters that you were born a Mason, you just have to be conferred. And that's what we do. Well, you got to be a man. And you have to be freeborn, which everybody is. And you have to be of lawful age, which is usually 18. The last part, he cannot do. It takes another Mason to recommend him. And I think it's important that Masons remember that. Sometimes when we look at guys that want to come in, we set the bar a little bit too high. And we have to remember that it's not a privilege to recommend someone, it's our duty. And so if they are a man and they are freeborn of lawful age, then it is our duty as a Mason to recommend him. Belief in deity. It's absolutely essential. There's no obligation that you could take with another brother if we're not bound by the same belief that there is a creator. We do not discriminate. Indiana Harbor Lodge has a variety of men from different parts of the world, and it's really one of the most diverse lodges I've ever seen. And it's wonderful. I learned from Brother Jerry about how they have a patriarch in their family and cultures and traditions that I've never known before. I've ate food that they've prepared that I've never ate before. And you learn that even though we may look different and sound different, we're really not different in the grand scheme of things. There are Prince Hall Masons, and there are African Americans that prefer not to be Prince Hall, and they just find their local lodge for geography reasons, or they know a friend. And so that's one of the great things about Masonry. We don't talk about religion or specific belief. As long as it's you believe that there's a creator, that's all we require, and that's why it makes it so great. Young Masons, we're talking about guys who just first come in, keep Masonry in perspective of your life. And you heard in the early parts where it says, don't let Masonry interfere with your usual vocations. And that's important that immediately you find out where Masonry is in your life. It's important not to let this thing swallow you whole, because it will. It can turn into an obsession where you think you have to be perfect in every aspect of it, and it can consume you. And sometimes you have to put it down for 2 or 3 days and get it back into perspective. I am a believer in God before I am anything, and then I'm an American. I'm a son to my father. I'm a husband to my wife, and I'm a father to my kids. I'm an employee, and then I'm a Mason. And I like to keep it right in the middle there. And that's what I would tell young guys, to remember that. Remember where you put it in your life, and don't let it be the priority. You got to remember that an ashlar is square. And being an ashlar and being perfect means that you can butt up against another one. And together, 2 ashlars together are stronger than one. And you support a greater thing by being that perfect ashlar. Together, you're stronger than an individual, than yourself. Positive reinforcement is essential. It's more essential than any friendly advice that you can get or criticisms. Past masters still want to be dads. They're grandfathers and grandfathers in their regular life, and they're good grandfathers and great-grandfathers. But what brings a lot of these past masters back is they want to be a father to a fatherly type person, and they're man enough to admit that internally. And so you see a lot of the past masters, they'll take a lot of these young guys and bring them under their wing. But you're talking about a generation gap, and you're talking about men, once they're retired and they're in their 70s, they don't have a filter. And as a young candidate, you gotta listen, and you gotta accept other people for the way they are, especially when you're talking about old ways of teaching with these men who were alive during, they remember World War II. They remember World War I. They remember the Vietnam War. They've seen a lot, but sometimes they don't come across right. You gotta accept them for who they are as they accept you for who you are. But all in all, those men are there to help. Even in your troubles, if you have criticisms in lodge, that builds fortitude for the outside world. Everything we do in a meeting room has applications for the outside world, and it definitely will, even in the bad times, it will build fortitude where you can go into the outside world where they don't care, and you can deal with that a little bit better. There's a lot of Masons that don't do the traditional work for whatever reason. maybe they don't have the time, or they have problems with maybe remembering things, if you will. But there's other aspects that you can do. Eric came in, and he's an audio video guy, and he's put some really good stuff together. That means it may not mean a lot into the world, but there's an old saying: the only one that cares you're a Mason is another Mason. And there's footage of men that aren't even on this earth no more, and it's timeless footage. And this is what Eric brought into the lodge. It was a gift that he had. Some people know how to play a musical instrument. Some people know how to work with their hands and remodel and help in these certain ways. You don't have to do the traditional stuff. Just picking up a mop and mopping the floor, or helping washing dishes. There's so many things, cutting the grass. Little things everyone can do to help. And when everyone's doing it together, you bond, versus one guy just being in charge of cutting the grass. So participation is huge. It makes you feel like you're part of the group. When I first met guys from Grand Lodge, I really didn't even understand who they were or what they were about. I just know that they wore a lot of green, and I wasn't really told about the special honors, and I mean, heck, I don't even know how you get into the Grand Lodge. I don't know if you're promoted, if there's an bidding process. I don't really know. So a lot of guys, they walk around these even newly raised Master Masons, they don't really know who they are and the prestige that goes behind it. I think a lot of these past masters, or the not past masters, but the Grand Lodge guys, I think that a lot of people don't know them, and they maybe get perceived and misrepresented. If you don't know really who they are, it's like, sometimes it can cast a shadow on people. I think that we should do a better job at explaining to all the Masons that these guys are just regular guys too. They're business owners, and they're grandpas, and they're husbands, and they like to fish, and they like to hunt, and maybe roller skate or try to roller skate. But in the end, they're just regular brothers just like us. Hold on to your elders. Hold on to them. Seriously, hold on to them. Because you just don't know when they're gone, and they go quick. Clarence Harder at Lake Lodge, I just saw him, and he was making plans to go to a degree, and then the next day he was gone, just went to sleep. And then there's others. Tracy Page, I was with him on July 4th for a degree, and after the degree was over, we stayed and talked for about 30 minutes, and we had plans to meet another degree, and then he was tragically killed. And it's funny. It's funny, even though we're adults and we know about living and dying and we accept it, we know it's going to happen, we really don't. We really don't, no matter how much we prepare for it, because when it happens, it's shocking. And so with your elders, just hold on to them. Compassion even when you don't understand. Because when they're gone, they're gone. And Benny Hinton used to have a breathing tube thing with the little satchel, and just make this hum, this little hum that you would hear. And when Benny was gone, really, you missed it, that annoying hum, and it was gone. And I just don't even think that Harbor Lodge has ever recovered from that. And I don't think they're going to. Be patient with the millennials. If I could just beg the past, the elders, just be patient with millennials. You got to understand that they were born with the internet. They were born after the internet. Everything's coming at them at 1,000 miles an hour. The drugs are stronger, the pressures are faster, the accessibility to be able to do wrong things is much easier. As much as past masters and elders want the younger people to relate to their old way of living, they have to be patient. They have to be patient. These kids this is a post 9/11 world. And if not, you're going to destroy the fraternity, because the younger age, they're not going to put up with it. They know they have options. They could be anywhere in the world they want to be, except 3 hours hanging around a bunch of people telling them what to do. They go to school and people tell them what to do. They go home, people tell them what to do. They go to their job making minimum wage, 20 hours a week. They're getting told what to do. They don't want to come to lodge and be told what to do. They want to be mentored. I think that the masters are I think they should do more to think about their line. In part of our teachings, the reason why he wears the symbol that he wears is because we, as the lodge and as officers, we appointed him in that position to preside over us. And I think what happens, stewards and deacons, everybody gets doing their own thing, and I don't think that there's no guidance from the east in a lot of these lodges. I think everything is played by ear, and these chairs are systematically made to get you ready for the east, to be a leader. And without that guidance, we go by rank, and that man that's sitting in the east is the most important as far as who's going to make the decisions. And I think a lot of guys in the East, I think they lose that aspect of it. To be a leader is hard, and sometimes you have to make decisions that aren't popular, but you do it for the team. And especially at the steward line, they really need to be encouraged from the stewards on up. You've got to start with your stewards. Your chaplain's going to read his prayers, but your stewards right up, they need positive reinforcement, because you've been there. But we love them. We're just rebellious. We're just kids. We're just having fun, that's all. But we do love them, and we're trying to hold on to them. We're sorry in advance. You know, it's only been 2 years. I've traveled a lot. I've seen a lot of things already. I can't wait for the next 2-3 decades.
My name is Ben Hinton, and I was worshipful master of this lodge in the year 2000.
My name is Bruce Bush. I'm past master of Indiana Harbor Lodge, number 686, here in Highland, Indiana.
My name is Ciano Fernandini. What else do you want to know?
My name is David Miller. I was worshipful master of Indiana Harbor Lodge 686 in 2016.
I'm Robert Mybeck. I was born in East Chicago.
I'm Mike Lenarski, Best Master Garfield Lodge 2001.
That's the corn roast king. He is the man that initiated, implemented, created.
Charlie Graves, the corn roast king.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't be a king if you don't have the subjects. And the subjects have got to be behind you, or you can't do nothing.